In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about why I stopped selling on Amazon FBA and why I plan on continuing to not sell on Amazon FBA and what I'm going to do instead. So for those who don't know, Amazon FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. This is basically Amazon's program where you can purchase items, you can send them into Amazon, and then when they sell, Amazon will ship it to the customer for you. So that is a really good business model, and I did that business model for probably around 2 years at this point. Really good business model. I would still suggest that if you're getting started with Amazon and wanting to get started, I think that's probably the best way, specifically because it's easier to deal with all the parts going on with FBA at the very beginning. And then also as you're building feedback, it's easier to build positive feedback doing Amazon FBA compared to the other type of Amazon. But for me, I am going to be doing a much higher percent of FBM now. So FBM is basically fulfilled by merchant. And fulfilled by merchant is basically selling on Amazon, but fulfilling the items myself. And so why would I do this? Amazon has this cool system where they can fulfill the items for you, but I choose to fulfill the items myself. So there's a couple reasons I'm going to go into that. So if you are listing, if you're shipping, if you're sourcing, if you're exercising, if you're doing chores around the house, just put this in. I'll be talking a few minutes about my experience about why I would rather sell FBM now. I'm recording this as of January 2nd and why I think it's a better business model for me. Which one might be a business model that's best for you based on what you value the most. So the basic reason why I would rather do FBM now over FBA is because of cash flow. And it's a really good system to use. Basically, I'm doing online arbitrage where you buy from online stores and have it sent to Amazon. So with FBA, what I was doing is I would buy the item, it would get sent to my prep center, whose job it was to send the items to Amazon on my behalf, basically. It was interesting. I would literally buy an item, it would get sent to the prep center, and then it would sell on Amazon, and I would have never even seen the item. And the rabbit hole goes even deeper if my virtual assistant ended up purchasing the item and I never saw the item for some reason and it sold before I had ever seen it. And I'm like, what is this? What is this item that I sold for $120? So basically that's the business model where a prep center is sending the items to Amazon for you. Let's talk about how long all this takes. So if I buy an item, maybe it'll get to the destination in about a week. So let's say I buy to my prep center and it takes about a week. The prep center could ship the items anywhere between 2 days from then, but more likely it's going to be a week or two when you factor in how busy prep centers usually are. And my prep center was on the slow side. It was a good prep center, but it's just on the slow side. It ends up being around 2 weeks most of the time. So there's 3 weeks right there. Then having items go into Amazon FBA, they have been notorious for being slow sometimes. Oftentimes having stuff go active at Amazon ends up taking 2 to 4 weeks. So right there, we have 1 week inbound. We have 2 weeks to get the item sent out. And then we have another 2 to 4 weeks to just go active on Amazon. So we'll call it about 5 to 7 weeks until they even go active. And then with Amazon FBA, there's also these things called FC transfers. Basically, they want items to be at specific warehouses so that it can be more effective to send to customers and have it arrive in a quick time. And that makes sense, but there are some situations where it literally took the 7 weeks to go active and then it goes in FC transfer. A story about this is a friend and I were literally selling the same item. We both had quite a bit of stock. They were around $100 buy cost items. I had about 18. He had about 30. We purchased them at around the same time back in September, and I decided to FBM them, and he FBA'd them because that's his business model, and he values time and extreme efficiency more than I do. Basically, I had them sent to my house. I listed them within a day or two because I knew these items were gonna fly, and I sold out within a week or two of my whole stock. But unfortunately for him, he purchased them. They were sent to his prep center. Thankfully, his prep center sent them. He sent them into Amazon. Amazon received them, but they were in FC transfer for about, I think it was about 6-7 weeks. So literally, I had been sold out. I had restocked the item and sold out by the time he was in stock with his first batch. So The good thing about that is if you're doing FBM anyways, is you can learn from your purchases much quicker. And that's an extreme example, but you can learn from your examples much, much faster if you're FBMing, because your stuff will either absolutely fly or it'll just sit there and you'll get to understand what's going on immediately. And so with FBM, basically what I'm trying to do is I'm having the items sent to my house for now. My basement is the place where I'm storing the items, opening the items, processing the items. And like I said before, the downside to this is it takes more time. It definitely takes more time. I do have a lot of my systems delegated, like a lot of my bookkeeping is delegated. When we make purchases, my virtual assistant bookkeeps the purchase, actually makes sure that it's all streamlined for me. She keeps track of our spend and our profit. She also puts the items into inventory lab for me when I receive them. But still, I have to receive the items. I have to open the boxes. I have to ensure that it's the right item, that it's actually in good condition. I have to find the items in my Excel sheet and make sure that they are ready for Roseanne to list. And then when they sell, I have to ship them out. So there's basically just a lot more to do. And so like I was saying before, which business model you're choosing kind of comes down to what you are valuing the most. Right now, I'm valuing my cash flow over my time efficiency. And in my opinion, I think it's still possible to do FBM with good time efficiency. You just have to be very selective with what you buy and have some good systems in place to support you. And another point similar to what I was talking about before with the whole cash flow cycle is basically I'm able to do solid numbers FBM with less money invested. When we were doing FBA, we were saying it takes 1 week inbound, maybe 1 or 2 weeks to go get sent to Amazon, 2 to 4 weeks to get to Amazon, and then potential FC transfers. All that time is time where money is being held up. Basically, that's not even considering the amount of time that it takes to sell. And then there's the 2-week payout, which adds another 2 weeks to your cash flow cycle. With FBM, if I literally just have the 1 week inbound to me, and then if it's a really good selling item, I could literally list it the exact same day. And then it could sell literally the same day potentially if it's a fast item, or it takes that month to sell, which is what I'm trying to do with most of my items. So literally the cash flow is not even half, but less than half of what FBA is, because there's no FC transfers, there's no inbound time, there's none of that. Like literally, I get the item, I list it as active. And sometimes for me, because processing the items takes time, I do end up taking a week or so to get the items active in a lot of cases, but that's still much better than 1 to 2 weeks at the prep center, and then 2 to 4 weeks inbound to Amazon, and then FC transfers. So that really gives me a lot more flexibility. Sometimes there are situations where I can literally see on the 𝗖cie graph, like, okay, like this is going to be good for the next couple weeks, but only the next couple weeks only. I'm able to capitalize on it better. And then also just the cash flow in general is just better. So for me, FBM right now is more interesting. I can learn more from my purchases quicker and compound that and get restocked faster. And then also the specific business model of online arbitrage that I'm doing. It's not apparel where a lot of the buy boxes aren't given to FBM if it's not Q4. A lot of the stuff that I'm selling is FBMable. So that's another perk of what I'm doing. If you happen to have a business model where you're seeing on the 𝗖cie graph that a lot of buy box is going to FBM, this might be more valuable to you. Also, if you are like trying to be the first to market in certain situations, FBM is really valuable for that. It's a give and take, because with FBA, it's much more time efficient. Like I joke with Josiah, like it's just a lot more time efficient. So I'm just trying to make FBM work basically in a way where I can still make really good money in less than full-time hours, because still I'm wanting to not work 45, 50, 60 hours a week on Amazon. I think it's really important to have space in your life, especially for me. That's just a value that I hold. So I'm going to be doing this less than full-time, and I can still do that with FBM as long as I'm very selective with what I buy. If I'm buying all these $5 profit items that I have to process each one, and ship each one, and they're not even the same item. To make it more efficient, like, I'm going to end up working 60 hours a week if I want to make the same amount of money. So I need to be very selective with what I buy, and I think you guys should too if you are trying to get better at selling on Amazon. So the very basic rundown of this is FBM is better cash flow, FBA is better time efficiency. If you're just getting started, I would suggest FBA for a little while because you're able to build up your feedback and it's a little bit more simple and time effective at the beginning. And then as you're wanting to learn and scale, FBM could be really good kind of once you understand what's going on with Amazon. That's why I'm doing FBM. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, that really lets me know that this is something that you guys want and I can make more videos similar to this. I have a lot more sourcing videos coming out lately as well, so stay tuned for those. If you guys want to join a free Discord, absolutely free, I have a link in the description below for that, where I'd love to get to know you guys more. There's a lot of really experienced sellers in there. Have a great rest of the day and take care.